CJ Peterson, and welcome to The Journey is Real. We talk to real people with real passions who share a real portion of their hearts. Today, my guest is Justin True, and his podcast is titled Take a Walk in His Shoes, Mental Health Awareness. Thank you for coming on today, Justin.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
We talked quite a bit through email to kind of sort through everything that we're going to be talking about. There's a lot of things I'm really excited to touch on. But before we start that, why don't we start with your journey? Because the journey is just as important on The Journey is Real as the actual passion itself. And we will get to that, I promise. But take people back and explain to them what brought you to this point.
Oh, to this point, I would say like growing up, I had a pretty normal life. Like I had kind of just like that, like is it Leave It to Beaver? Is that like the really typical like
Yep.
modern suburban like American household? That's about like what we had. And from the outside, like it looked like that. And looking back on it now, I realized that there was so much stuff that was underneath the surface that I just never, as a kid, I couldn't see. You don't see like what your parents hide from you. And they, my mom did a really, really good job of hiding all the bad stuff. And so as I got older, I kind of, I don't know, became wise to everything going on. And yeah, we had a lot of bad stuff that just started unraveling. You can only hold the ship together for so long and hide everything until everything comes out in the open. And when it does, it is just it's a storm, and it's not a good one you want. And so that's why I always want to be vulnerable and be open and transparent with everybody about everything, and try to get that message across that that's what we really should do. Because if we don't, we bottle it up, and when it all comes out, it comes out hard. And yeah, so basically my life just was all, it was all fine and beautiful.
It's like a soda bottle that's got a lid on it. If you shake it enough times, it's going to blow up and goes nuclear.
Yeah, exactly. So it was all good. And then just things went downhill one after the other. I mean, like from, an abusive household, started out with just as it does, started out with just verbal abuse and aggression. And then it turns into physical. And that was from my dad's side. And my mom was just an angel and tried her best to manage it. But you can only do so much when, the dad's just kind of the alpha of the house and can, do whatever he wants. And he has two boys. And so my brother got the worst of it. I think he's about 3 years older than me. And I think once we grew up, he wanted to put that on me now. If you're getting beat on, you need to beat on somebody else. That's just like the, chain of command or whatever, and I was at the bottom of the totem pole. So I got beat on by everybody. And then as time went on, he cracked, and my mom eventually had a really, I guess, unfortunate scenario. She got stabbed a couple times by an ex-boyfriend. Wow. That was actually manipulated by my dad or orchestrated, manipulated, however you want to put it, by my dad to do it, which they were divorced at the time. And so,
how did you process all of this?
What was that?
How did you process all of this?
I didn't. Basically, when it happened, at the same time as that happening, my brother was overdosing probably every other month. I asked him the other day, I was like, hey, man, I bring you up a lot in podcasts, like, just so I don't get things wrong, how many times have you overdosed? And he's like, well, before 18. And I was like, is that a question? Like, and he's like, at least over like a handful of times, at least 10 before 18, I think. And he was in and out of my life before I was 16. When my mom got stabbed, him and I kind of buried the hatchet, and I guess it's a bad term of words, but but we kind of buried it and moved on from there. And that was about the first time we ever said, like, hey man, I love you. Like, we realized that we were the only ones that we had in life. And with our mom on like death's bed, and our dad was non-existent to us anymore, we just both wrote him off at a young age. Once our parents divorced, we just both wrote him off, and realized, hey, like, there's a good chance that like tomorrow it's just going to be you and I. And it was hard to process. It took me years. That all happened when I was about 15 and 16 years old. And so yeah, I kind of bottled it all up. I think the moment of truth where things kind of turned for me was when I was in the hospital with my mom. The doctor, she's bundled up with blankets trying to stay warm. She's lost so much blood. And the doctor just kind of told me, he's like, hey, you can see her, but you can't cry, because if you cry, she might cry, and she's too weak, she'll die. And it's like, how do you just tell
Wow.
someone not to cry seeing that? And like, I was 16, like just 16, and yeah, I just had to walk in there and like suck it up and not cry. And I think ever since that
Well,
moment, I just built this solid steel curtain like in front of my emotions. And that again is, you shook that soda can up, and then you left it there waiting to sit, waiting for somebody to open it. And it
well,
just kept getting up over and over and over.
yeah, I grew up in an abusive home. I ended up being adopted later into an awesome family. But I get the idea of growing up in that environment. You learn to compartmentalize really young. You learn to stuff feelings really young. And you grow up really fast. And
Hmm.
so I can't imagine, because I'm a sensitive kid. I just am. I'm a nature, outdoor, sensitive type person. And so you kind of seem the same. Like I said, we've talked quite a bit. And so you kind
Hmm.
of seem the same. So it's like when somebody tells a sensitive person not to cry, that almost makes us cry.
Yeah, no, it does. It does.
So how did you not? I mean, I c- I don't
Guess
know.
I just want my mom to live. And I don't know, I guess like I wanted to see her one last time, So it's like it's tough because it's like, well, she might not make it. And so I can't be like, all right, like I'm not gonna be able to cry.
Mhm,
Like, so I'm just gonna get out of the room. But then who knows? That's the last time I could have saw my mom. Like, do you
mhm,
really want to live with that? Like, I should have been tougher for her. Or
mhm.
who knows if she was like able to comprehend that moment, if she was conscious during that. But I know I was, and had I been tougher, I could have seen her one last time. And I think I would always live with that of being like, I like I'm just weak. Like my weakness made me so I couldn't see my mom one last time. And so I just had to literally I guess how I always say it, suck it up and just, I wanted to see her one last time if that was like going to be it. And so, yeah.
So where did you go from there after that?
Um, from there, I ended up, I was really angry. I think people are finally starting to see who I really am. I'm 29 now, but I think people are finally starting to see who I really am and why I was such an angry kid in high school. I think I made a really bad name for myself. A lot of people have a perceived notion of who I am based off who I was back then. At least that's how I think we look at ourselves. We think that people think the worst of us. And so
We're
I
our
was just,
worst critics, or we're our own
yeah,
worst critics. Yep.
yeah. And at the end of the day, I doubt anybody even thinks back to it. But I was just a mean person back then. I was angry at life. I got expelled. I moved to Oregon to be with my mom now, and I got expelled within 3 weeks of going to school. And that was in my junior year, I think. And yeah, from there it was like, crap. Like my mom just got better, or she's on the path to recovery, and like now I'm literally going down the same path as my brother. Like not only is she dealing with this, but she has to deal with the fact that like at that point in life, like my brother's great now. He's awesome. He's a great chef. But like at that point in life, like he's a failure. Like he's doing is overdosing. He's homeless. He's living off their money. And I was like, crap, like I'm literally just going to be this same person. My mom, like my dad beat on her forever. Then this new guy that she dated right after that, you know, tries to kill her. Like she deserves to be happy and like proud and like doing this stuff. Like she sees me on the news or something, and like I love the fact that people will walk it. She still goes back to the same. She was at work when she got stabbed, and she still went back to work. And
Wow.
this she's in the same exact spot it happened. Um, and I just think that takes incredible strength.
Hmm.
And sorry, there's a plane overhead. I don't know if that's too loud or not.
It's okay. I
Um,
can hear you. You're fine.
All right. Yeah. So basically, I tell her all the time, like, mom, like, people think I'm strong. Like, I pulled a car for a marathon and this and that. Like, people are like, man, you're really strong. Like, my mom's 10 times stronger than I am. Like,
Mhm.
she still goes back and still goes to work in the same spot that she got attacked in. Like, people would move towns or move states to get away from that. And she looks at it in like the face every day. And like, people will come in and be like, hey, like, are you Justin's mom? And like she like I can just imagine like the pride she gets from that, or like like the feeling she gets from that, because I know one day like I want to inspire my kids enough one day when I have them to where people go up to them and they're like, wait, Justin's your dad?
Uh,
And they're like, yeah, oh, yeah, I guess why? And they're like, he's done all this. And like,
That make you
and
feel
then
good.
I want to inspire them enough to where people come up to me later and be like, that's your kid? And be like, yeah, I guess. Like, I guess they are. I want them to beat everything I've done in life. And so I want to set the bar extremely high so they can get over it and they can beat me. And yeah, I just from that point on, I realized that I don't want to be a disappointment to my mom. I want her to smile and be proud of something in life because she's been through so much. And so from that point on, I just decided like I need to get my life right. I need to, start helping support this family and be like the man that this family needs. I guess that's like an archaic thought of like the man of the household, but like
No, I don't think
somebody,
so.
yes,
People
like
people
somebody need to be a wall, you
yeah,
know?
people say that, but I don't think so. To me, I'm one of those unique people that the woman does have a role and the man does have a role.
Yeah.
Women, we're emotional. I own it. We're emotional. We make decisions on emotions, which aren't always logical. They're not always right. Males tend to be a lot more logical and methodical in their thought processes. It's when you put the two
Mhm.
together that it comes to a beautiful agreement of the man taking into consideration what the woman's instincts and what she sees and what she feels around her and makes a wise choice. So somebody at that point, your mom needed a security blanket, she needed an umbrella, she needed somebody to protect her because obviously the men in her life did not. And so I
Yeah.
feel that that's appropriate way of thinking. I don't think
Yeah.
it's archaic at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just kinda needed to be that I need to be that wall in the family.
Mhm.
I ended up working 3 or 4 jobs a week. I started going to school. I started fighting, doing, like, MMA,
Mhm.
and that took off and went really well for a couple years. Yeah, I just literally encapsulated myself in everything I could to try to, make as much money as I could, try to excel myself as far as I could with a career wise that would set myself up to hopefully, help my mom retire early. Just tried everything for 10 years or not 10 years, probably from that moment at like 16 till I was about 23, about just 7 years nonstop and never really slept. I slept maybe like 2 hours a night. Like I started hearing voices and I thought I was going
Good.
crazy. I thought, a little now I look back at it, it was sleep deprivation, but like I thought I was going crazy. I thought I had voices in my head and people were talking to me. And I went and saw a therapist and she's like, no, you're just it's called like metacognition. You're just thinking about thinking. And then on top of the sleep deprivation, like, yeah, I just broke. Finally I opened up that soda can and just tried killing myself. And I just got tired of it. Everything was too much. Like I realized everything that had happened to me and I was like, life sucks. All this stuff has happened. I haven't had fun yet. I'm 23. Like what like this whole time people are saying that it's fun and life is great. Like those are the best years when you're in high school and college. I'm like, mine were terrible. Like
Mhm.
what from here? And so that's kind of where I ended up.
Well, let's take that and we're going to flip it about a 180. You mentioned pulling the vehicle for the marathon. What
Mhm.
are the different things you've done to show mental health awareness to the world and to kind of shine a light on it?
Regarding that kind of stuff. For all those like challenges that I've done, they've all been kind of for other charity events. I've
Mhm.
always wanted to help other people. I think it goes with like shaking up that soda can again. I bottled up what was really wrong with me, and I didn't realize that like I realized that I had this depression going on throughout my whole life. I just bottled it up really well, and then it exploded.
Mhm.
And I tried acting on it, and then I bottled it back up again with doing all these events, trying to raise awareness for other people's causes because I always wanted to help other people. And I put my life in the back seat again, and I see everybody doing challenges like for something that resonates with them and something meaningful in their life, and I'm like, I don't really have anything wrong with my life, and it's like, yes, I do. Like mental health is a huge thing in my life, and I literally just belittled it and discredited it so much. Uh, and I think that's what we all do. I think we discredit ourselves and put our feelings second to a lot of people's, and which is a good thing in some sense, but at the same time you need to be able to sit back and like look at your own life and realize like, hey, there's a lot of things I need to fix. And finally I did that, and that's where I'm at now. um the first thing was pulling a car. for 26 miles. The next thing was walking across Madagascar, the whole country. And these were all for different things. Worked out for 24 hours doing CrossFit for leukemia and lymphoma. And I just always wanted to help other people. And that fulfilled my life so much, but there was still something missing.
Mhm.
There's helping people and, having them reach out and tell me their stories was so fulfilling and just filled my heart like no other. But then something was still missing. And finally I realized, like, shoot, 5, 6 years after everything, I finally realized, like, crap, maybe I should do something for me. Maybe I should do something for a cause that just hits home for me. And I know that I can really, really reach other people with. And the other causes were important to me, but this is something that I know I can run with nonstop.
Mhm.
And and I want to reach as many people as possible. And yeah, that's why we're here today. Just
Now you're doing this, and we'll touch this in a second, but the most important thing to this part that was sort of mentioned, but sort of kind of glossed over, is the fact that yes, you were doing this for the other people, but when you realized that you weren't, kind of helping yourself, you sought the help and you got the counseling and the
mhm,
guidance to help yourself, correct?
yeah,
So what is
yeah.
it you're doing for you and to shine a light on
Um,
for you?
So this next adventure that I'm doing is a triathlon across America. I labeled it America's largest triathlon. I didn't really know there was ever such a thing. And then I started getting feedback from people of like, hey, well, there's this guy who's doing this triathlon, and I looked into his, and his is the largest one to date in America, and they're actually doing it right now. They're just about finished with the biking portion, but when you look at the numbers, mine becomes basically twice the size. My swim is twice the size, and my run is double the size, almost triple. Our biking is the exact same. It's across the country, but it's a 50. Mine will be a 50-mile swim across the Bahamas to Miami, and then a 3,200, give or take, bike ride from Miami to San Diego, and then a run from San Diego to the Golden Gate Bridge, which is where I'm originally from, is North Bay area. And so it'll be kind of a cool, like, you know, I guess full circle.
Lot of That's a lot
Yeah.
of terrain to cover. And
Yeah.
when is yours starting and when do you target to finish?
It was supposed to be May, and it was, I guess, just I'm really bad at planning things. I just like doing things right away.
Mhm,
I got this idea in January to do it, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it in May because that's when I get off work.
mhm,
Was in May. I work seasonal, and I literally got off work May 1st, and I was gonna go down to Florida and start. And the run is 600 miles alone. Like, that is insane. And then a documentary crew got a hold of me, and they're like, hey, we want to turn this into something really special. We love your story, but we can't do it in 45 days. Like, we need more time. So I was like, all right, well, how about November? So we kind of met in the middle. They wanted to push it to next year. I can't wait that long.
mhm,
And so I want to do something now. My mind's always going. I think, I need some goal to achieve in life to, I guess, keep the voices at bay,
mhm.
um, from just going crazy a bit. And yeah, so this will be November. Start of November, I will be hopping off the boat in Florida or Bahamas.
Good.
And I just really want to send the message that, there are so many days. I'm projecting about 25 days, give or take a day or two in this. And it's gonna be 25 days of just it's kind of like you said, there's so many miles of terrain, and there's gonna be so many moments that I want to break, that I want to stop. And even right now during training for it, I want to stop
Mhm,
and realize that you can't. It's really a metaphor for life, that when things get tough, you just can't stop. And while today might be hard,
mhm,
during the triathlon, or maybe the whole swim might suck, or the whole biking might suck, but eventually there's gonna be one day that makes it all worth it. And like, that's kind of how I connect it to life, where, the first 23 years of my life just sucked. It was, or I mean, didn't suck, but it was rough. It was
mhm.
rough. There were some hard patches that I wish
And
never
you're going
happened.
to be in the rough waters of the ocean.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, a lot of bad things happened, and it wasn't the best. It could have been better, but now that I fought through it, I'm here today, and I met that one shining day to where, like, everything changed. And that's kind of the message I want to put across. Like, eventually you got to keep fighting for that one day. That one day is going to come. And if that one day comes, the very last day of the triathlon, crossing the Golden Gate Bridge, hey, at least I earned it. I earned that day.
Well,
Um
and the whole
oh,
triathlon, in essence, is a picture of your life. Because, like I said, you had the stormy waters of growing up. You had where you were hustling left and right, the bicycle portion, and
Mhm.
then the running part, you're running towards your personal freedom and your personal goals. And so that last, when you cross each different aspect of it, you can, kind of celebrate each portion. Yes, I made it through this part. Yes, I made it through this part. This last part really sucks because I am exhausted, but I am going to make it, and it's going to be a beautiful thing when you cross that finish line. Um, your podcast is going to be put up on September 9th. Why did we choose that particular day?
For Suicide Prevention Day,
Mhm.
it's a day that really rings. That's kind of why we chose, or I wanted to do it in May at first as well, because it just mixed. I got off work and it was Mental Health Awareness Month, and everything worked perfectly. And so I was really bummed not to do it that month, because I feel that's just like, that's great. That just, that whole community surrounding it would just be great to have, the support. But I know that by putting this out around, Suicide Prevention Day will be just as special.
Mhm.
And then in November, hopefully we'll have enough time to give this story and give it enough runway to where it deserves attention. It deserves the traction. It deserves so much more. The people deserve so much more than a month to get on board. We need to, you know, I guess, change more lives, inspire more people.
Well, and that's the beauty behind the documentary. That's the beauty behind you doing different podcasts. You're shining a light on something that a lot of people run away from. And
Hmm.
so I do applaud you for that. You're proud of your mom for standing up and being strong. You're doing the same thing in a different way. And so I do applaud you for that. Now,
Thank you.
KTVZ is the one that's doing the
Mhm.
documentary.
No, that was just a the news station from a town in Oregon that
Okay.
I live in now.
So they put something on their news. That link will be in with the podcast. Who actually is doing the documentary?
I can't remember his name. It's just I can't remember. I remember his name. I can't remember the
What
company's
company?
name. But his name is Michael Franz. He's a really cool dude. He
Mhm.
just won an Emmy for the first climb up Everest for a guy with a prosthetic leg.
Mhm.
He wasn't the one with the prosthetic leg. He was the guy who did the producing for it. Which I talked to the guy who with the prosthetic leg was Jeff, and he is such a cool guy.
Mhm.
I got on the phone with him. Couldn't believe how like just down to earth and really what I mean. First guy in the world to climb Everest with that, like, is unbelievable. Like, what a badass! And so being able to talk to him, like, dude, you are a regular guy. He's like, yeah, of course. And I was
And that
like,
that that's the beauty behind
yeah,
getting to know people on like this level. That's one of the things I love about the journey is real. These are real
yeah,
people. You're a real
yeah,
person. You're not that
yeah.
strong man pulling the car or walking,
Mhm.
with Thor's hammer on his shoulder or whatnot.
Yeah,
Those are things that you've done, but that's not who you are at your core. And
right,
that's one of the things
right.
I love about the journey is real. I'm going to be posting your YouTube link. What can they find on YouTube when they go over there?
Um, I'm gonna start putting more updates of my training for this going on up until November. I do a bunch of food challenges just because I like to eat a lot and I need to eat a lot so I don't, get too small for this. I have some other plans that I want to do in August, which is like a strongman type challenge up in Scotland, and
Oh,
so
neat.
I'll have to be decently strong.
And I was
So
gonna say Scots are pretty brute. So
yeah, yeah,
they're
like it's
pretty
yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be they're 733-pound stones, and about 150 under 150 people have ever done it in the world. So I want to join that list. Yeah, so basically my whole story, I have a lot of travel stories of just kind of backpacking around after 23 till about 27. I just traveled as much as I can, about 40 countries, and
Mhm.
have a lot of funny stories that I just like kind of posting about and talk about.
Good.
So yeah, anything from travel inspiration or joking about with funny stories, you can find that on there. Food challenges if you like food. I don't really like to just classify myself as one thing. I'm just, you know, as you said, I'm like, we're all normal people. I'm a normal person. There's more to me than just fitness. And a lot of people look at it and they're like, oh, you pulled the car, you ran with the hammer. this and that. And it's like, no, but there's so much more to me. And if you go to it, you're going to see all of it. My life is out there for everybody to see, the good and the bad. I don't really care, because the bad is pretty rad too. I
But the bad
like,
made you who you are.
yeah, yeah.
Now, if they
So,
want to find you online outside of the YouTube,
mhm.
outside of the YouTube channel, how can they find you online?
Instagram is where I'm most active at, is the real Justin True.
Okay.
And then on Facebook as well, just Justin True. Um, I guess if you see this picture, if you're watching YouTube and you see this picture of me, or you see the cover of this and you
Mhm.
match that to the person on Facebook, there's a couple other Justin Trues in the world, surprisingly. Um, so yeah, those are about the two that I'm most active on. And
And your website is?
whoisjtrue.com.
So that's WHOIS, the letter J, and then TRUE.com.
Correct.
You have, we're a little
Correct.
bit over time, but I want to give you just a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you would like to add? One final exclamation point to the whole thing.
Oh, there's so many things I could say. I honestly, there's so many things I could say to that, but no, it really is, just goes back to the message of, if you're struggling today, just keep going, because eventually your day is going to happen. We've all been there where we want to give up today, and you realize that, today might not be your day and the next day might not be your day, but eventually your day is going to come and it's going to be freaking sweet, and you should just be pumped for that day. You just need to remember that. Just keep fighting for it. We all have to fight for something, Yeah.
What's better to do than fight for yourself so you can fight for others?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Justin. You've been a real treat to come on today, and really appreciate you being open and honest about your past and what brought you to this point. That takes, like I said, a lot of strength and a lot of guts. So I appreciate you.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And thank you guys for listening to The Journey is Real. We talk to real people with real passions who share a real portion of their hearts. I'm CJ Peterson of cjpetersonwrites.com. Until next time.